What is up, everybody? It has been a long time since I have made anything for YouTube. I've just, with as bad as Warzone 2 has started, just lost my interest. And then there was no stat websites for loadouts really up until recently. And so just by recently, I had completely, pretty much lost my interest and was only playing Warzone to keep up with my Warzone friends who didn't want to play Apex and didn't want to play Fortnite or Fall Guys or anything else, because I love those guys. And so I've been playing Warzone 2 max like once or twice a week. I went like 2 or 3 weeks without it recently. But the changes coming to Season 2 sure have me fired up to play. Season 2 looks like it's going to be awesome. It's going to be launched on February 15th, which unfortunately I'm traveling that day. Back to where I live from visiting home. So I probably won't be live that day. Maybe I'll just go live late and not sleep that much. But I'm super excited for this, and I cannot wait to play. So we'll start off. We're just gonna go over everything Warzone. I'll probably skip quickly through DMZ. I don't play DMZ. And maybe skip multiplayer altogether. But global changes to all the modes. Crashes and stability. We remain dedicated to improving the overall stability and performance of our games, including reduced crashes across all platforms and titles. So I don't really crash ever anymore when I do play. I played for like 4 hours, didn't crash at all, which normally I would crash about every 2 hours, 3 hours max. Didn't crash in 4.5 hours of play. So I haven't been crashing. I'm more concerned with the like frame drop. I'll drop to like 0 and jump out of the plane, and my frames will freeze, and then they'll be stuck below 30 instead of like 130 for 10 minutes. Not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. So that's been unfortunate. Audio. So as we know, if you've been playing or if you played Warzone 1, footsteps have always been a major problem in Warzone. You do not hear footsteps. And since data suggests that some PC players may be experiencing audio issues due to discrepancies in the number of channels they are outputting. So I guess that's just the PC part of it. I guess the rest is for everybody. But it's weird how they have the data suggested some PC first, because it makes it sound like this whole section is PC. But anyways, we've had an option to force PC to stereo output. Please be sure to check Windows and in-game audio settings set correctly in accordance with your listening environment. I do have that on already. The stereo instead of mono. Mono's only good if you're deaf in one ear, and you only hear it in one ear. Investigation into player reports regarding audio led us to identifying previously unknown issue impacting occlusion across the game. Audio occlusion is a filter that applied based on the type of material that an object or structure is composed of, primarily based on its thickness and how it blocks the full frequency of the sound. Only large structural objects should apply the filter. So, like whole buildings or the big thick walls or something like it. That's kind of what they're saying, because then they go on to say, but we found some small items like a stapler or a pile of rags on the ground were causing the filter to turn on when it shouldn't have. So like the game was going, oh well, there's a stapler on the ground, that stapler is going to block the sound of footsteps from people, which it should not have. Which is just, how did you not figure that out by now? The game's been out since what, November, and multiplayer's been out since October. For example, a wastebasket that was tagged with the incorrect material may have occluded sound like it was behind a wall, making the sound more difficult for a player to hear. This issue will be addressed in Season 2 update, and we continue to work on fixes and new audio features to better our player experiences. Footstep audio, especially with the short time to kill, which we'll see if that changes when we get patch notes, because they don't have quite everything in this blog post. But with that time to kill, you really need to be able to hear. A number of UI, user interface, UX, user experience, if you don't know. Updates are coming to Season 2 to improve overall flow of in-game menus. These updates include improved navigation and organization of the camo menu. The camo menu is a mess. If you want to get to the later categories of camos, you have to scroll through all that, and it's just such a pain. I have my Orion, so I'm not worried about that. More polished social tab, including improved channel swapping and player muting. Thank God. Not that need to mute players very often. But thank God. New My Bundle screen. That's good, I guess, but I never touched that in Warzone 1. Quick equip items from Battle Pass, My Bundles in store. That should have been there in the first place. Reticle previews in store and Gunsmith should have been there in the first place. But we also don't have customizable reticles yet, which I hope we get, but we haven't gotten yet. So Previews in stores, interesting. That might mean we're getting that. Improved clarity of attachment blocking logic in Gunsmith. And many more bug fixes. We've also introduced a fix that restored instant speed of recent players in menu. So how quickly it shows up your recent players from your last game. And status refresh of friends. So like if you're showing offline or you are offline and then you get online, it'll show quicker that you're online. Further details on the changes will appear more in our Season 2 patch notes. So see, they don't have quite everything in this blog post. Experience improved after action report with audio. I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe they turned down the audio on it because it is a little loud. Play again feature in Battle Royale. Finally, it should have been this way. Hopefully, it includes the play again with team option for those that do drop in with randoms. Bug fixes for inconsistencies between, which, by the way, I will drop in with randoms more when we get resurgence mode. Bug fixes for inconsistencies between challengers, battle pass, weapon progression. Okay. Weapon balance. Weapon balance is something we're always analyzing when we're balancing weapons for Season 2, just like any other seasonal or mid-season update. Details on weapon balancing can be found in the upcoming Season 2 launch patch notes, which probably come out like the 13th, 14th. They might do it the morning of the 15th like they have. We're excited to discuss some changes to armor below that will make for more consistent engagements in Warzone 2.0. Battle Royale. So this is the good stuff, the juicy stuff, besides the audio, the play again. Those are really the only things that stick out to me in the beginning. But this is the stuff that we're really looking for here. The Gulag. The Gulag will be returning with the launch of Season 2. With this change, players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic, the domination-style flag point in place of the jailer. Hate the flag, hated the jailer, but I guess they do need a solution so Gulags can't go on forever. Super excited for the 1v1. I liked the 2v2 a lot at first because people didn't know what they were doing. SPMM wasn't kicking, and so I was getting a lot of really easy bot Gulags, and so 2v1s all the time, giving me a bunch of extra kills. Well, people are in the Gulag. My SBMM has kicked in. The Gulags are obviously harder. So when I get the bad teammate, now I'm in a 2v1 and it's awful. So I'd rather take the 1v1 for that. In order to bring this change online sooner, we have edited the existing Season 1 Gulag for better 1v1 combat, but are actively working on a dedicated 1v1 map for future seasons. So I don't think they've changed the Gulag map yet, but that means they have changes that they have yet to implement that are coming, and then they're going to redesign a whole new Gulag. Hopefully Season 2.5, but I'm assuming Season 3. We've also made some logistical changes to the Gulag experience. Ground loot has been revisited as well as the loadouts that players will spawn in with. We've updated the pool to include assault rifles, submachine guns, and light machine guns as primary weapons as the circles progress. So what I'm hoping that means is that's not the loot pool on the ground because there's never anything but grenades, armor vests, tacticals on the ground. But that means now instead of just coming in with a pistol or coming in with a shotgun with a pistol secondary, you can come in with an assault rifle, a sub, or a light machine gun. I wish they'd bring back marksman rifles, tac rifles, and sniper rifles just because it's a little higher skill than people are going to take the heavy light machine guns, as we know, camp something because they're too slow to move, and just sit. They'll probably do the same with assault rifles, but less often. And then with submachine guns, still some, but you'll get a little more aggression. But I'm going to hate light machine gulags. I'm calling it now. Shotguns have been removed from the rotation, thank God. I never even used the shotgun when I got the shotgun Gulag. The pistols just had more range. I just stuck with the pistols. While handguns will remain as available as secondary weapons. For those leaving the arena victorious, the Gulag will grant a larger cash reward to players. It must have been really small because I never even noticed it. I never tried to do the math, but I like the cash reward because of the next sentence. This change to cash will allow redeploying players to get back on their feet a bit faster. Alongside increased victory cash rewards mentioned in the previous section, it's not really the previous section, it's the previous two sentences. I would say the whole section is the Gulag. The Gulag will now spawn cash as ground loot to encourage and reward players willing to prowl the arena. So now you can loot cash in the Gulag, which is super interesting. Because you could be going into the Gulag, let's say you got 3,000, then you loot 500, let's say 500 is reward, you got 4,000, boom, you're buying somebody back if you need to. Cash economy. In addition to cash changes to the Gulag outlined above, we are balancing the Battle Royale economy with a slight reduction to cash rewards for completing contracts. Okay. Additionally, we are increasing the lowest value of cash piles from ground loot to 800 from cash registers to 500. So it's an interesting balance. I'd prefer they just left the cash rewards alone, especially because they don't multiply like they did in Warzone 1. So you're just not getting near as much cash as you complete more contracts. I do like that the ground loot's minimum 800. Interesting that the registers are minimum 500. I would have thought that would have been swapped, but I wonder if they'll end up moving the cash registers up to 800. In addition to this, cash can be acquired via ground loot containers and white stronghold supply boxes throughout Mazrah, but can no longer be found in basic and legendary supply boxes. This redistribution should make for quicker, more consistent gameplay in the pursuit of resources. All good. Loot and inventory. As announced last week, we are shifting away from loot windows / menus to floating loot that will now drop out of all containers in the world, similar to loot supply boxes. Like that, the menu's it's slower to loot. It puts you at risk to being killed, third party, whatever. Especially if you need to pick up plates out of somebody's backpack or something and put them on. It's nice that we are now just going to have everything spit out onto the floor. The changes intended to improve the pace of gameplay, exactly what I'm saying, by minimizing time spent navigating the UI and getting players back in the action faster. So exactly what I was thinking. We are excited to see new backpack system give players the agency to customize their inventory for a desired play style or role within a squad. In our continued effort to balance engagements, medium and large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminated players will drop loot onto the ground rather than loot-filled backpacks. So essentially we're going back to Warzone 1 style looting, which I don't have a complaint for. I think the backpacks do fit better in DMZ, where it seems they're going to be staying. And so I like this change. Warzone, the nice thing, it's kind of a simple BR, and that's what it's always kind of supposed to be. Casual friendly, even though it's too casual friendly right now, and this really helps with that. Every player will have the same backpack throughout the entire game, which, so there you go, it's less RNG based, which once again makes it even more player friendly. Entire game, which will subsequently reduce the impact of stacking medical supplies, equipment, and kill streaks. That's great, because I should not have 10 self-revives in the last circle and just hide and keep selfing as the gas closes. I'm glad you couldn't see my self gesture, because it was not good. And I don't mind being able to stack kill streaks, really. It's kind of obnoxious, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And equipment, once again, not the worst thing in the world, unless you got somebody with like 20 stuns you're fighting. We will continue to look for feedback and provide updates that streamline the looting experience for everyone. Loadouts. Loadouts have always been a core part of Warzone's Battle Royale, and something we pay close attention to. The changes players have seen with the launch of Warzone 2, and since then have ultimately been in pursuit of the most fulfilling experience for the individual and the team, all while keeping things challenging. As such, we're making further changes to how players acquire part of the entirety of their loadouts. Season 2 will introduce customizable perk packages. This feature will launch with a slightly reduced pool of available perks, which we may slowly reintroduce over time. So that's good, because like if Bird's Eye doesn't get a change, Bird's Eye's broken, and I'm sure they probably won't include that. And I think balancing what perks you can use by reducing the perk pool and maybe slowly introducing stuff is good, because I do think there's some perks that are really too strong, especially the way they have the perk categories, and you're able to combine certain perks you could in Warzone 1. And so I think it's good that they're going to reduce the pool and slowly introduce as they feel necessary. We also remain happy with the introduction. Primary. We want to navigate this particular feature carefully as possible, ensuring that all available perks provide ample utility and remain viable balance options. So exactly what I'm saying. I think Bird's Eye will not be in the initial pool. Primary weapons will continue to be available at buy stations, but now at a more affordable price point so that players can pursue victory with their most desired weapons. So, affordable price point, maybe 1,000, because it's 2,500 now, so it's going to be somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000, maybe 1,500 is the right price point, maybe it's 2,000. 1,000 is probably a little low, especially if the minimum cash is 800 on the ground, so you find 2 stacks of cash, if it's 1,500, you now bought a weapon. 4 stacks of cash, you got 2 weapons. 1,500 is probably a little low as well, it's probably going to be 2,000. Then you got to find 3 stacks of cash. Let's see, the price of loadout, we were also remain happy with the introduction of loadout drop markers, though we've taken a careful look at the price point. The price of loadout drop markers has slightly been reduced, so I'm guessing it's going to be 3,000 in quads, maybe. Maybe it'll be 28,000, it'll be 7,000 per player, instead of 7,500. Because right now it's 8,000. But it says slightly reduced, so who knows. So that respective squad sizes can acquire their full loadouts at a faster pace. In addition, on extremely rare occasions, players may find one while looting through Mazrah. That's nice that they're adding that to the loot pool. It's fun in Warzone 1 when you find one, the whole team freaks out. A second loadout drop public event has been added, which means the drops will now happen on the 1st and 5th circles each match. So just like Warzone 1, except it still doesn't have your own certain loadout that's yours and only yours, they still are probably going to have them all drop in as just, hey, anybody can access it, which mixed feelings because they're not spread out enough. They're just in a straight line. And if you're not anywhere near that straight line, you're just screwed. 3-play vests. We are evaluating the pace of combat engagements and have decided to make a change. All players will now start with the 3-plate vest. This is a necessary change in my mind. For those of you that do know him, the Ghost of Hope on Twitter, and for those of you that don't, he's a prominent information getter is what I'll call him. Early information. And he has pointed out how bad Resurgence would be with the plate system we have currently, because now if you're trying to regain and everyone's got a 3-plate around, you got a 2-plate, it's a lot harder to regain. And I think that's part of why they're making the change, is because Resurgence mode will be coming. And I'm sure DMZ will still have the vest, because this is only Battle Royale. Varying vest size will no longer exist in Battle Royale, so there is loot. This standardization will bring more reliable feel to the engagement from the get-go. We continue looking at data about optimizing downtime and improving the ability to recover from a prior engagement. So this already semi-raises the time to kill, which is always welcome. Movement. We have made an important tweak to the movement that should yield better outcomes for players in combat. Starting with Season 2, players will be able to bust through doors while plating the way they should have been if they were sprinting. Give us sprint while plating. Let us sprint and slide while plating. No diving, fine, because really awkward. But sprint, slide while plating, please. Wait, can we slide while plate? I don't know. I barely play this game. This change includes a slight increase to movement speed while plating to enable players to get to cover faster in moments of need. Just give us full sprinting. Unless they're doing something where they're only making small changes and plan on making bigger changes later, so they keep getting us hyped like I am right now. Buy stations. In order to make buy stations and goods easier to access, we've revamped our approach. Spawn locations have been added/adjusted. Spawns will be static across the map, so no more every game has different buy station locations, and now they have more buy stations were desperately needed, because you just have like 3 in one POI and then none in the next POI, or one's on opposite ends of the POI, and it would take you a full 2 minutes to get to the next buy station in a car. And loadout drop markers have an unlimited stock at all stations. That's good. The limited stock was just stupid, especially since we're not dropping everybody their own loadout. As always, we will continue to monitor the global balance of our economy and availability of resources as we move forward. Strongholds. Strongholds provide an alternative gameplay experience with high payoff for those willing to tackle the objective and for others interested in robbing players of their rewards. We're committed to provide a balanced engagement for players who choose to enter Strongholds. Season 2 will bring changes to the rewards players receive from the Stronghold and Black Slate completion, as well as additional adjustments to AI combatant damage. They need to not have more. They need to not feel like they have like double the HP of a regular player. I'm okay with having a little more HP, and then they need to stop killing so fast. So that's all the BR stuff. I'm gonna just kind of skim through DMZ and probably just skip multiplayer and go to the looking ahead. Enemy tuning. Season 1 and the AI were challenging, but the ramp-up of difficulty was often steep, with some players getting overwhelmed. With Season 2, we've introduced a number of balance changes to adjust the types of AI spawning, the number of AI spawning, the accuracy of AI at range, and much more. All this should provide a challenging but manageable play space that still requires player-respective enemy combatants in the DMZ. The AI is one of the reasons why I don't play DMZ. They're really obnoxious, and maybe this makes it better. Spawn points, we're tuning some of the infill points across Mazrah for improved early match experience based on gameplay data. Starting at a point which your squad feels isolated without loot and contract opportunities is not the best experience. These tweaks should improve spawn points across the mode. I like that it's kind of just an open lobby that people can join at any time, but I still think you should spawn above, whether it's jumping out of a helicopter, jumping out of a plane, literally just spawning you in the air and letting you parachute in. I still think that's the move, and it's another thing that's kept me away from DMZ. Mission difficulty tuning. Data feedback reinforced that faction mission difficulty ramp was too aggressive for many players, and that the demanding scale ultimately made it very challenging to unlock the second insured weapon slot, completing all 3 tier missions in Season 1. We've adjusted the overall scaling of difficulty in missions as the tiers progress. Later tier missions will be quite challenging even for the experienced operator, but we believe more straightforward access to an additional insured slot will provide a better path forward for all players. Crashes. We know crashes are especially impactful in DMZ if you lose your items and contraband weapon as a result. Addressing these crashes is a priority for Season 2. Could you imagine if I said adding crashes? And we are committed to increased stability. Stay tuned for more specifics on this. Just if your game crashes, you disconnect from the server, whatever it is, just let them keep whatever they at least went in with that they still have. I don't know how easy that is, but it should be that way. Seasonal refresh. All new missions are coming for Season 2, including a refresh of your current faction mission progress and an inventory and contraband and keys reset. We'll be detailing the all you need to know intel for DMZ ahead of Season 2 in an upcoming blog. I don't, to me that means nothing, because I don't have anything stored up. I don't have faction mission progress past like tier 1, whatever the first faction is. Locations. With a new exclusion zone coming to Season 2, players will have a third option to choose from when deploying in DMZ. The faction mission refresh will provide new missions that send you across these destinations, including Building 21. We suggest you and your squad gear up for infiltration first. So Ghost of Hope, I mentioned earlier, brought up another good idea that they might be doing, to where DMZ will get the small map first to generate interest for DMZ, and then, like, mid-season update, we'll get Resurgence on the new Resurgence small map. Multiplayer, audio fixing, perk balancing they're doing, weapon balancing they're doing. They're bringing back hardcore because Tier 1 wasn't technically hardcore, so they're replacing it because people wanted hardcore. Mostly for their long shots, which like I said, I have Orion, so I did my long shots in Tier 1 for everything except, like, snipers, marksman, rifles. Maybe not tac rifles. I think tac rifles I did in hardcore. I mean, Tier 1. It wasn't that bad, but hardcore is definitely easier, especially if you don't have time to get through it all. Playlist, our Valentine's playlist will return. Stay tuned. We'll be detailing the multiplayer modes coming to Season 2 in coming weeks. 1 week per month Infinity Ward will be creating a Twitter poll for fans to vote on that week's playlist from a rotating pool. I love that. That means they want the community to be engaged, and they don't want to ignore us like Infinity Ward seems like they've been doing. Ever since they wanted beta feedback that they didn't listen to. Ranked play coming from multiplayer. Give it to us for Warzone. We want ranked in Warzone. Part of what has driven me away from Warzone is Apex ranked is my favorite thing to play right now. Give me Warzone ranked, please. These are some of the changes coming in Season 2. We have plenty of new content to share ahead of launch. Expect more information on the brand new small map coming to Warzone 2.0 next week. The map's not coming, the information's coming. Including the return of Resurgence. The full Season 2 announcement blog will be released on February 8th, so 14 days, so 2 weeks from now. It should have been easier. With upcoming posts from studios, including the full Season 2 patch notes, which I'm sure the patch notes, like I said, will be no more than 2 days. No more than 2 days ahead of the season, but probably on the day of the new season, as well as blogs from Call of Duty staff, all set to drop before launch. We appreciate our dedicated and passionate Call of Duty community for the continued feedback and support. Stay frosty. Development for Modern Warfare 2 as well as led by Infinity Ward. Warzone 2, see this as well as Warzone 2 led by Infinity Ward title. Take that away. Give them to Raven and High Moon and whoever else was working on it. Beanox, Toys for Bob, whoever else was working on it. End of Warzone 1. Take Infinity Ward off because all these changes would happen sooner. We'd probably get more quality of life changes. That's the end of rant. But thank you so much for watching. Whether you clicked around the video, watch all the way through, I do appreciate you watching it all. I will have this link down below as well as all my social medias. TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter. I'm live on Twitch almost every single night. I have been slacking on my TikTok and Instagram posts, but I'm trying to get back in the habit of at least doing it 4 to 5 days a week. So go ahead and follow me on all those, and Twitter. Right now it's a lot of football talk, but just random stuff on Twitter, so please feel free to check that out. But I will see you on Mazrah. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.